And I can confirm you are now being recorded.
Great, thank you, Simon. Okay, so I am calling to order the March 23rd meeting of the Heritage Advisory Committee. I'd like to begin with a land acknowledgement. The Halifax Regional Municipality is located in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and traditional lands of the Mi'kmaq people. The municipality acknowledges the peace and friendship treaties signed in this territory and recognizes that we are all treaty people. Our next item is the approval of the minutes from our February 23rd, 2022 meeting. I am looking for anybody that has any additions or anything that needs to be changed in the minutes. And if not, then looking for a motion to approve this minute. So, and I'll jump at once.
It's Cassandra. I'll approve that we accept the minutes as presented for February 23rd.
Great. Seconder, please. Thanks, Cassandra.
This is Patrick. I'm happy to second that motion.
Thanks, Patrick. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Contrary minded? Okay, the minutes are approved. Next is the approval of the order of business and approval of additions and deletions. I don't believe that there are any additions or deletions, though we're going to, towards the end of our meeting, just very briefly touch on the question of whether or not we would like to move to an in-person meeting for our future meetings. So I'll kind of park that here for now. But apart from that, if someone wants to move to approve the order of business.
I so move. Lois.
Thank you, Lois.
I'll second the motion.
Thanks, Cassandra. Item 4 is business arising out of the minutes. I don't believe that there was any. Call for declaration of conflict of interest as our next item. Does anybody wish to declare conflict of interest for our agenda items for today? I'll ask once more. Does anybody wish to declare a conflict of interest for our agenda items today? Okay, sounds good. I guess we're moving on. Consideration of deferred business, there was none, apart from what I already mentioned, which we're going to deal with towards the end of our meeting. Next is correspondence, petitions, and delegations. I'm seeing none. Simon, I don't recall seeing any come through.
Thank you. Yes, that is correct. No correspondence or petitions received from the clerk's office as of this time.
Great, thank you. Information items brought forward, also none. And that brings us right to our reports and discussion item. So we're going to start with staff. It is what I call HAC Christmas today. We get to look through all the proposals that people have made to do some nice work on their heritage properties and see what they're proposing and see what staff have come up with. So without further ado, the item 9.1.1 is case 800532, the 2022/2023 Heritage Incentives Program. And I believe that we will have a presentation from staff. Oh, Paul, I think.
Yes, good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm wondering, Simon, if I have the rights to share here. Okay, I do.
Yep. So I have the presentation up, but you can also, oh, yep. So that's great. I'll let you direct and I'll hang back.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. So you can, Madam Chair, you can see my screen, my presentation.
Yes, I can, Paul. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, I'll be presenting case H532, which is the 2022-2023 Heritage Incentive Program. I'd also like to point out right now that the report that you have in your package, it wasn't written by myself, but rather my colleague, Jesse Morton. So he gets all the credit for the well-written report that's in front of you today. So the Heritage Incentive Program, it encourages the ongoing maintenance, restoration, and rehabilitation of municipally registered heritage properties. It was approved by Regional Council on April 1st, 2014, and it provides 50% matching grants for eligible exterior conservation work. And that is exclusive of HST, and it's up to $15,000 for residential properties and $25,000 for commercial properties. And the application acceptance are accepted annually between September 1st and December 1st. And we ensure that the eligibility criteria contained in the administrative order are satisfied. And we also score and rank each application. So the Heritage Incentive Program anticipated budget for this year is $350,000. So as I've mentioned, we score each application against the criteria, and they're here. There's 5 of them: location, type of work, visibility, whether it's visible from the street or not, number and amount of previous grants, and as well as if the application has a building conservation plan attached to it, there's an extra point. I'd like to point out also that most of the properties, municipally registered heritage properties, are located mostly in the south end and in Dartmouth and remaining of Halifax. So to encourage applications from outside these areas, we give a higher scoring to the Halifax County and the north end of Halifax. So this year we've received 21 applications. All applications were eligible for funding, and there was 1 additional application which was late. And the cumulative value of eligible applications this year is $286,161. And the cumulative value, including the late application, is $291,776. And these amounts are within the program's anticipated budget. So staff recommends that all applications receive funding, and this would result in approximately $786,292 in investments in these properties. And here we have a matrix that shows the 5 areas that we have municipally registered heritage properties, and it indicates the number of residential applications as well as the number of commercial applications and the grant value within the areas. Now, we have 21 applications this year, and rather than go through all of them, what I've decided to do, to the dismay of Madam Chair, is maybe go through 5 of them. And however, in your package, you have all applications. And if there are certain ones that you would like to look at or go through at the end, we can surely do that. I've got them all at the end of I've got them listed a little further down here. So the first one up here is 5355 Russell Street. It's in the north end of Halifax. It's to repair a door entryway, and the recommended grant is $10,046. The next one is in the south end of Halifax. It's a commercial building at 1725, 1727 Barrington Street, and it's to repair the roof, and the recommended grant is $18,945. We have another one here in the south end of Halifax, which is 1141 Carteret Street, and it's to replace doors and windows on a carriage house, and the recommended grant here is $15,000. We have an application out 1137 Ketch Harbor Road in Ketch Harbor, repair roof and dormers. The recommended grant here is $15,000. And I have another one here, which is 100 Ochterlony Street in Dartmouth. This is a former church, and it's now been converted to a commercial building. And it's for repair stonework, mortar, and replace the windows, trims, and doors. And the recommended grant is $25,000. And here I have the recommendation. Now, as I've said before, if there are certain applications that you would like to go through, you can just tell me what number they are, and I've got them following down below, so we can just go through them. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Paul. Does anybody want to ask any questions or go through talk specifically about any of the specific applications that weren't mentioned here? Aaron, I see your hand is up. Is there something you wanted to add?
Yeah, Madam Chair, Aaron Murnahan, Principal Heritage Planner. Just wanted to add to Paul's very good presentation there that we also have, as he mentioned, an ineligible application that came in late. And this has happened before. And typically what we do is, as an alternative recommendation, we provide the opportunity for HAC to recommend to council that they consider that late application. If Paul can certainly expand on that a little bit if any members of the committee have any questions, but just wanted to identify that for you, and it is mentioned in the staff report as well.
Right, I saw that there's an alternative motion that staff has put forward. So there's the original motion that's there on that slide, and then there's an alternative motion that we could, as the HAC, choose to make if we wanted to look at. Oh, and here it is. Here's the late application here. Thank you. Thanks, Paul. Okay, thanks, Aaron, for reminding me and clarifying that. Councillor Hansby, your hand is up. Would you like to say anything?
Yeah, in regards to that late application, how late did it come in? And I think we also have a surplus left in the account of around $64,000. So I don't think the $5,000 grant application coming late would hurt the program at all. I think we should approve them all.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for that. Anybody else have any thoughts they wanted to add?
It's Cassandra. I'm just curious if there's a reason why there were so many roofing applications. Is it a new category, or is it just that cycle of repairs?
It's the weather.
The weather, yeah.
We've had some storms this year.
We had a few storms this year. No, I agree with approving them all, including the late one.
Sure, thanks, Cassandra. Lois, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm just a little curious in general. I was looking on each photograph for the plaque, and I couldn't see it on all of them. And I know that there are a few outliers who have received the designation, but have never been have never put up the plaque. I would want to explore that a little bit. If they're being funded by the city, the plaque should be visible. Plaque should be visible anyway, but I suppose, and I would ask staff through the chair if there's any firm policy on that.
I can speak to that if you like, Madam Chair, through you to the member. We are a couple years behind in some cases on our plaque ordering, and that was caused to some degree by the pandemic. We still have a number. Paul and Jesse were very good at putting a number of plaques, in excess of a dozen of them, up this year for recent applications, but there's still quite a few where we couldn't agree on a time to meet with the property owner to exchange the plaque, or they didn't want it put up at a specific time. We do not have any specific policy regarding plaques, but we of course encourage property owners to have it visible quite prominently, either at the very corner of the property on the lower side, like you see on the slide in front of you, or next to the door. I think there's probably about 20 properties left that we need to provide plaques for, and some of those are recent applications. And if they're recent registrations, they may have applied this year for grants, so that would probably account for the number of photographs that don't show a plaque.
Thank you very much for the explanation.
And if I could add, Madam Chair, yes, we did go out this fall, and I think we ended up placing something about 12 plaques. But as Aaron has pointed out this year, the past couple of years, we haven't put any out. So there is kind of a backlog on them. And what we try to also do is, when we go out, is put as many up as we can. So we have a little route that we follow, and we start at one end and we go through the whole line. And then sometimes it's the odd ones that don't get put on right away because they're kind of off the beaten path, or they're just off the trail for this year. So but we do intend on when the weather gets nicer to go out and put some more up.
Thanks, Paul, for adding that. I think that we do all like to see them, especially on the new ones. It's exciting. Oh, am I muted?
You were.
Oh, okay, I'm okay. All I was saying was thank you very much. Oh, and Cassandra's put in the chat here, well done staff for getting those dozen or so plaques up. I agree with Lois that they should be displayed prominently. Hope this again can be continued to be pursued this year now that the pandemic is quote unquote over. Thank you. And Lois says she'll second that. Okay, so I think that I'm hearing a fairly strong consensus that we would like to include the late application, in which case there is a motion in the package that we were given that that allows us to include that that application. So I'm not sure if anybody else wants to add anything to that. Does anybody feel that we shouldn't include it? I'm kind of gonna open the floor once more here, folks. Okay, hearing nothing. Paul, I guess you really covered us off with that presentation. Nobody has any questions. Well, thanks very much. And I guess without further ado, then I will ask somebody to put that motion on the floor. Simon, is there anything we need to do to?
I have one. One question.
Sorry, go ahead, Councillor.
Madam Chair, one question. These are estimated repair jobs and stuff that were done. We're now experiencing a lot of inflationary issues and stuff, and some of the cost of materials may be higher. Is there an opportunity, if that is the case, if their projected costs are a little higher than anticipated in the application, can they apply for some assistance? Because we still have another $50,000 plus left over in the budget. We have $350,000 allocated for this program, and we have 292 of this committed with this report. Is there an opportunity to address possible inflationary factors for applicants?
I can speak to that, Madam Chair, as well, through you to the councillor. Under our administrative order, unfortunately, councillor, we don't have the ability to account for those types of changes at the last minute. But if you would like, ahead of regional council, we could certainly discuss some options there. We always ask for 2 quotes from property owners as part of providing these grants to them. Since we do have a surplus, there might be an opportunity to look at the higher of the 2 invoices or quotes that they've provided to us. So I'll have to bring that back to our team, and we can certainly provide some advice to you on that ahead of regional council if you would like.
That'd be great, thanks.
I should also mention as well, Madam Chair, that we have gotten a request from regional council to review the grant program. And there will be a report coming to this committee likely in the next 3 to 4 months with some recommendations on really bringing that program into the 21st century, if you will, and that might account for some of the inflation through higher grant maximums. So stay tuned for that.
That's great. Thank you. Okay, does anybody have any other further questions? We've got Aaron Zier.
Well, just to clarify, that motion as it reads, are we saying we're to approve all the 22 grant applications? Because it doesn't specify any number or anything like that. So just want to clarify that.
So there's a second motion in the actual package or in the staff report, sorry, that is part of that package that gives us the option to include that one that had arrived late. So I think that based on what I'm hearing from the committee, that would be the alternative that we'd be looking for. I believe it's alternative. I think it's alternative 2 here.
Yes. Okay. I'm reading that now. Okay.
Yeah. So that would be all the grants, all the proposed grants, plus that extra one that staff said had arrived late. So if anybody wants to put the motion on the floor, I believe we can vote on it unless anybody has any further questions. Oh, and Simon's actually put it in the chat here for whoever wants to do that without digging out digging through the staff report.
I can even just change the format just a moment to make sure we've got. If you just are able to provide just a couple minutes, I can just type the proposed first wording for that one.
No problem, Simon. Thanks for doing that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe that is now in the chat. Might be a good opportunity just to do a quick review, and then we'll see if there's someone who can put that on the floor. Great.
Okay, whoever would like to read out the motion, it is now in the chat, and it looks like it is. Looks like it's right to me.
This is Marisha. I can read that. So I move that the Heritage Advisory Committee recommend that Regional Council approve the proposed grants to the properties listed in Attachment A and the potential grant to the property listed in Attachment D, conditional upon the applicant's compliance with sections 29 through 35 of Administrative Order number 2014-002-ADM, pending approval of the 2022-2023 budget.
Seconder, please.
I can second that, Lois.
Thank you, Lois. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Affirmative.
Those contrary minded? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, everybody. So I believe we're going to move to item 9.2, items for members of the Heritage Committee. There are none. Number 10, motions and discussions. There are none. Simon, would this be a good time to talk about what we want to do with our future?
Yes, where there are no added items, I think that brings us to date of the next meeting, which is when I propose we have that discussion. As detailed to members, I can just briefly speak to this, that we are now able to accommodate in-person meetings again. The regular in-person meeting location for this committee is City Hall in Halifax Hall, second floor of City Hall. And we would also be able to, I believe we're pre-booked tentatively for meetings in the ordinary format, the meetings we would ordinarily have this year as prior booked from 3 to 5 p.m. The one restriction we have is that we're unable to provide a hybrid meeting option as of this time. We can't, if we have in-person meetings, also have a virtual or a phone-in option. So it's either in-person all members physically attending or virtual meetings. We have some flexibility regarding, which meetings, if we need to have a special, and there were some issues in terms of getting quorum. We could, if it was easier, have a virtual meeting, and we can, if there is more comfort from members, continue to have virtual meetings in the format we're having today indefinitely. So those are options that we just want to make sure everyone is aware and informed of, and we can begin polling members just informally to see if there's any strong feelings or opinions on what folks think is best. And otherwise, yeah, that's everything from me.
Okay, thanks, Simon. I know that some of you were not on the committee, I think, looking around, although maybe everybody was, when we were previously having in-person meetings. So that may sound a little bit daunting after years of virtual, but I can guarantee you it's nice to sit at City Hall and press the little buttons on the microphone and tell one another to remember to press the little buttons on the microphone. So I'm not going to try to influence the team here, but I'll open the floor up and see what folks think they'd like to do for the future. Go ahead, Lois. Oh, Lois, your hand is up. You can go ahead if you want.
I'm sorry, I forgot to unmute. I'm
No
just
problem.
wondering. I'm just wondering whether the hybrid model is going to be looked at in the coming months. Is it always going to be either or is the city looking at possibly that wonderful mix?
So I can speak a little bit to this. There is a continuing, the clerk's office is continuing to look into our options, and though I'm unable to provide a lot of detail about what that would look like or any kind of timeline around a hybrid meeting format, it's certainly on our radar, and we'll continue to update chairs and committee members when we're able to regarding any changes in format for meetings going forward. Just at the moment, though, I can't really provide any confidence that that would be available in the future or near future, and what that would look like.
Thank you. That's good enough for now.
Simon, to kind of piggyback on that one a little bit, is you were saying that we could say that we want to consistently hold meetings in person, but if we were experiencing quorum issues or anything like that, and that might make it better, is there a date of cutoff prior to the meeting that we would have to make a decision to say, okay, we're switching to virtual, or is it, is that kind of a flexible notion?
Yeah, that's hard to say too. I think we haven't kind of been tested on that yet in terms of something that would really require a great deal of flexibility at the last minute. Most of the time, if we're going to be considering a special, it'd be something like a similar agenda process where we have all our requirements for distribution of an agenda package, within the meeting timeline of the week before the meeting. So we would know by that time, what our format was going to look like. So I would suggest, as a kind of, not as a firm rule, but as a general guiding principle, it would probably be something like a week before the meeting, kind of around the time of the agenda preparation process. We would know what our format was going to be. That said, there may be exceptions depending on inclement weather or things of that nature. So I can't provide more confidence than that at the moment.
Nope, that makes sense. Thank you. Cassandra, you can go ahead.
Thanks. I don't know what everybody else's spring is feeling like, but mine is gonna go bonkers now that the world is opening up again. If we were to move to in-person, I would struggle to make the meetings just with that extra driving and parking time. If we were to move to in-person, I would like to request, or at least offer a suggestion, that we hold off a couple of months, just give people a chance to get that extra time in their calendar prior to the first one. But that's just me. I'll do whatever the group,
Okay.
I'll do my best to do whatever the group wants.
Thanks, Cassandra. And that's not necessarily off the table. We could say, next month and maybe the following, we would do virtual, and then we're planning, like the JHC is planning to move to in-person starting in June or whatever. Anybody else have any feelings or thoughts?
This is Patrick. I wonder if perhaps considering changing the hours of the meeting would make it easier for people in Cassandra's condition, needing to rush from one thing to the other.
Yeah, a 3:30 start would be helpful. Or 4, but I don't want to
Yeah.
drag people into the evening either.
I'm not sure. Simon, is there? I think we mostly is butting up against other people that are going to be using the spaces,
Yeah.
or frankly, other meetings that the clerk's office staff have, and they kind of need to be here to, help me along, so I'm not forgetting every second thing.
It's a good question. I think that there's been historically Heritage Advisory Committee has met from 3 to 5. I think that might have been it's a little bit unusual compared to some of our other committees that or other advisory committees often begin at 4:30 and go to 6:30. It might have been a decision made to accommodate the needs of members at that time. I can't be certain. That said, it could also have something to do with some consistent scheduling challenges, though I can't see any from my perspective right now. So, it is possible if there's, a consistent and strong scheduling challenge for members that we could consider moving those meeting times. That said, yeah, there may be some more flexibility in terms of keeping them for the moment if members have approved those scheduling times prior to now, and that's still consistent for most people. That may be the easier option, and then there's the opportunity to consider what we want to do in next year on a long-term basis. That said, there is some flexibility there, certainly.
Okay, the ball's in our court, everybody. What's everyone thinking? We have two things to decide now. Are we going to really push to try to move our meeting time? And if so, does that mean that we would do in person? Or are we, not wanting to do in person at all? Or are we wanting to start in person in a couple months? Or I'm really exemplifying some great leadership here, aren't I? Go
Madam
ahead,
Chair,
David. Oh, sorry, Patrick, you can go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that personally, I'm in favor of meeting in person. That's just my opinion. I don't want to influence anyone else. And in terms of the hours of the meeting, I'm completely up in the air about that. I just threw it out there.
Okay, great. Thanks, Patrick. David, you can go ahead. Your hand's up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would support in-person meetings, but I'm also would like to see the maximum number of committee members be able to attend. So I'm flexible in that regard, as well as with the afternoon versus evening meetings. I'd also be able to meet either of those times. I think what's important is that the maximum number of committee members are able to attend.
Okay. Marisha, go ahead.
I'm with Cassandra in that maybe not necessarily the later time, because the later time then just kind of pushes a number of things backwards. But the ability of virtual, the advantage is that it means you're not like rushing to get everywhere for a volunteer committee when you're running around. So like to get in from work and taking that extra time does prove somewhat more challenging when you're in person. That being said, if the committee does decide to meet in person, like we can make it work, but it might perhaps, as Cassandra suggested, and I don't want to speak for her, but maybe April and May, those could be online and then moving in June.
Okay, thanks, Marisha. Councillor Hensby, your hand's up. Did you want to add anything? I think you're in a budget meeting, but I'm not sure.
No, we finished our budget meeting. Just trying to find the.
Oh, you finished. Okay, good.
Yeah, we finished out at 3:10. Anyway, I I find that having in-person meetings have been difficult getting quorum at times, and we've been waiting there for quorum. So I think whatever best advantage for our membership, we should go with. I think the online meetings have been very productive for us. We got very good participation. You know, I'm still waiting for a hybrid model. I brought this up the other day in council in regards to future council meetings and public hearings about a hybrid model. And as Simon said, that the clerk is examining those options, and hopefully will be a blended format where we could have people participate in person as well as away. But the biggest discussion was, and debate was, you have to actually see the person participate. You couldn't have it wouldn't be just a microphone and a blank screen. We had to actually see the person speaking. That's part of the regulations we were currently stuck with. So I think we're going to analyze this as things move forward with our technology, and hopefully we can have that availability. But in the meantime, I think that having the online meetings have been, in my opinion, very productive for everybody.
Okay, thanks, Councillor, for adding that. Lois, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with Councillor Hensby, and that's why I raised the question of the hybrid model. It would seem to provide the greatest convenience for volunteer members of the committee. And I think we're working towards continuing virtually for a couple of months and then revisiting it in May or June and seeing where the city has come with its technical solutions.
Sure, that's definitely something that we can look at doing. I have right now 2 votes for in-person, but fine either way, and 4 votes for virtual, but fine either way. We're all very amenable. So I think what we'll probably do, and interrupt me or speak after me if I'm wrong here, I think maybe we'll defer moving into in-person until, I'm going to say, maybe the May meeting. So we'll give 2 months from, we've got our April meeting and then our May meeting. Maybe we'll have a discussion about it in our May meeting. Oh, Councillor Stoddart, did you want to add anything there?
No, I just wanted to let you know that Councillor Hensby and I are at City Hall, and the internet is very iffy. So I get shut down, I come back, I get shut down, I come back. So I just want to let you know.
No problem, no problem. We're just debating in person or not.
I have time in my schedule for this meeting. So if it changes, I'd have to look at another day if I could possibly put it in on a regular basis. So I don't know if that works for anybody else, but right now.
Okay, I think maybe we'll just, oh, Jennifer, sorry, I just saw your hand up there. You can, if you wanted to add anything.
Yeah, I'm with Councillor Stoddart that I would really like for the meeting time to remain the way it is for the remainder of our schedule, because my whole schedule on Wednesdays kind of goes around it now. I've made sure that space is clear. I'm open to either. I'm back in the office now at Dow, so I'm definitely open to either in person or still virtually. It really doesn't matter to me. So I would just kind of take I would go on the coattails of the rest of the committee of what was convenient for them.
Okay. So it sounds like we're open to in-person, but that there are a couple of people for whom that would be challenging just based on the logistics of getting to City Hall at 3 p.m. on Wednesday. So I'm going to propose that why don't we revisit this conversation with the intention to seriously consider that we may be moving in person, given that many people have expressed that they might like to. And if committee members can take the next couple months to try to figure out if there's a way that they can make that work, or if they really are solidly we must do virtual, otherwise I'm not going to be able to make it, sort of thing. And so maybe another couple months will give us a little bit more clarity on that. I know that there is a lot going on with us transitioning back into real life or regular life or whatever. So I'm going to propose that we speak about this again at our May 2022 meeting, and then we'll go from there. Does that sound good to everybody?
Sounds good.
Sounds excellent.
Yeah, that's
Sounds good to
great.
me.
Wonderful.
Sounds good.
Okay, thanks,
And
everybody.
and just let you know, if the budget approves that we had our discussions today, if you want to think about future meeting dates, for the summer from June and July and August, we'll be proposing free transit on Friday, including ferry service. So that might be help people in regards to, instead of driving downtown and parking and stuff, they may want to consider that there be a free transit option on Fridays for meetings, if people want to use their Friday afternoons that way.
Sounds like a pretty fun way to spend a Friday afternoon. All right, thanks, Counselor, for adding that. Okay, so the date of our next meeting, which will be held virtually in this format, is going to be April 27th, 2022. Unless anybody has anything else to add on that discussion, I will welcome a motion to adjourn.
I will so move. Lois.
Thank you, Lois. Seconder,
Andrew,
please.
I'll second the motion if you need one.
Oh, thanks, Cassandra. Yes, very good. All those in favor? I don't know if I need a vote, but we're going to do it anyway. All those in favor to end the meeting.
Aye.
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 Thanks, everybody. See you in April.
Thank you
Thanks,
all.
Hey,
Andrew.
everyone.
Take care.
Aye.